Are you tired of getting one tapped at every position you play? There are some games where it feels like no matter where you put yourself, the enemy is able to pre-aim and peek you for a quick one tap. I know, I've been there, and trust me, it's not fun. But what if I told you there's a way you can avoid enemies from pre-aiming your spots? This is where the concept of off angles comes into play. This is a technique that many of the top pros use to avoid enemies from predicting their position and therefore being able to pre-aim and kill them with ease. With this, you'll be able to throw their aim off and turn your aim on. No pun intended. Let's break down exactly what these off angles are and how you can implement them into your own play. Off angles are an excellent opportunity to help you get more kills in your games and improve your friends. We've been conducting interviews with some of the SkillCapped subscribers recently, and one of the most common reasons that people say they decided to try our service is because they didn't like always being at the bottom of the leaderboard with their friends. This is a very real problem for a lot of people, and trust us when we say we hear you. That's why we recently designed a complete academy course that is designed to take you from 0 to 100 in Valorant. That, along with all of our agent courses on the site made by actual top 500 players, you're absolutely guaranteed to improve in no time. Off angles are a great way to improve your play, but if you want the real secrets, be sure to head on over to SkillCapped.com and we'll help you out. First up, what are off angles? Off angles are a simple concept at first glance. Let's take a look at a typical position you may play as a defender on B site. Many defenders will try to peek garage from a far back angle. This is the earliest you'll be able to challenge a player coming through B. Because this is so common of a position though, many players will pre-aim it. This means they'll line up their crosshair against the wall so that when they swing out, they're already aligned with that angle that so many players play. By doing this, a single click is all they need to eliminate them. We're not necessarily saying that such a position is bad, but it is predictable and will be a common angle that players will try to peek and align their crosshair towards. When your position becomes too predictable, you want to implement off angles. An off angle is when you play in a spot that isn't commonly checked. Let's take our B ascent example here. We can create an off angle by simply moving slightly off to the side. Now we won't be able to see as deeply down garage here, but enemies also won't be as ready for a position such as this. It's not commonly played and used, which is why it's considered an off angle. Enemies won't be ready for this and you'll be able to easily shoot them down while they try to adjust their aim. Off angles are used by pretty much every pro in Valorant, and for a good reason. They help throw off a player's aim and allows you to get an upper edge in the fight. Players at the top level of Valorant are insane, so any little thing that can give them an edge is significant. Off angles force players to have to make that extra micro adjustment in their aim. While this may only take an extra few milliseconds, most of the time that's the difference between you or the enemy getting a kill. Not only do off angles throw off people's aim, but it also causes additional mental fatigue on the enemy. Players won't be able to comfortably peek positions knowing that you might be in a spot they weren't expecting. This causes them to play more cautiously, which is mentally taxing. At the same time, it also helps you run down the clock in game, particularly if the enemy is on the attacker side. Enemies have to be more thorough with their peeks to find you. This situation can put players in positions they aren't used to being in and can lead to panic plays. Being unpredictable is a key feature of being good in Valorant, and off angles create part of that unpredictability. Always try to be one step ahead of the enemy. In simple terms, an off angle is any position that the enemy won't commonly expect and check. There are other ways to create off angles than just leaning slightly to the side though. You can also completely switch up to an entirely different position on a choke point. For example, if we take market, it's common for players to hold down middle from the side. We can switch things up by going straight into the middle of, well, middle. This angle is particularly effective against players coming out of link who try to swing wide to peek the more common market angle. Now these players will be caught off guard early. An enemy appears before they're even finished with their planned peek, and now they're going to be an easy kill due to the off angle that surprised them. Do note that this sort of angle can be risky as there's no way for you to escape if multiple enemies pop up. Because of that, these more open wide angles should be used with agents such as Reyna and Jett who have that escape route with their abilities. With other agents, these sort of wide open angles can be heavily punished, so take that into consideration before you use it. Another way to create an off angle is by utilizing height. If you've played Fortnite before, you know all about taking high ground. By playing in more elevated positions, you're better able to catch off enemies who typically will expect you to be more on level ground. These high ground positions are part of the reason why Jett is such a strong agent in the game currently. One position you can use on Haven is on top of the double boxes outside A short. This position is unlikely to be checked and pre-aimed at. With how high these positions are, enemies are forced to flick their crosshair high up in the sky. By then though, you've already killed them. With that being said, we're going into our favorite off angles. Now you can create an off angle practically anywhere in Valorant if you start paying attention to commonly held angles in the game. If you know what the common positions are, then you can figure out what the uncommon positions are. You don't want to position yourself in the open though, just a small switch up is all you need. This first one is specifically for Jett mains. At the lower ranks, we rarely see players taking advantage of Jett's passive drift. This ability allows her to float in the air when she jumps and holds the jump key. When Jet has her ultimate, she remains accurate regardless of whether she's moving or not. Because of that, when she has her knives, you can create a sick off angle by jumping and drifting when you peek. This catches players off guard as you're at a higher position than they were initially expecting. It's slight but enough to throw someone off. I personally caught players off guard multiple times by peeking in this manner. This isn't the typical off angle that you'll see. Most players will think about something more passive, whereas this one is more aggressive and active. This is exactly what makes this technique so strong though. It's unusual and unexpected. Be sure to not drift too much ahead of time though, as enemies can hear that and will know they need to line their crosshair higher. Another one of our favorites is that door on Fracture. If you're able to push through door and under ropes, you're in a very strong position to catch enemies off with off angles. You can position yourself practically anywhere under ropes as you would wait for an enemy to rotate and end up in your sights. There's so many angles that a player has to check for when they try to push out ropes, which is what makes this position so strong. You can also listen for the flank from A main at the same time. Not only that, but if you hear a player coming out from Link, you can easily sneak your way over there as well for an off angle as they try to push out. Most defenders pushing out Link will check the door last, which gives you an easy kill. Next we have Under Heaven on Haven. It's all too common that we see players just hiding here at the very corner. This is the most common position players will check, so it's not optimal. You have a ton of space to work with here, so you really want to play any position but the corner. Particularly, you want to position yourself more towards the left with enough space that you can see anyone that pushes through sight towards A short. That way you can cut them off. This is a simple change with drastic results. Now anyone that drops from heaven is an easy kill, and you can help cut off enemy pushes while being a hard target yourself. Going into Breeze, being out in the open of B main is incredibly powerful. This is already a tough position as is with the long range duel from spawn. Add an angle that they aren't expecting and you'll be a tough menace to deal with. Exposing yourself like this also isn't all too bad here. You'll have more time to strafe around and also get to cover if need be. And if you're playing Jet or Reyna, again you got an easy escape ability too. Now on Ascent, a commonly held angle is in the corner outside market. This is already a super strong angle as is, since there's so many points to check when players push out here. However, it becomes even stronger when we move slightly to the side. Now you're a harder target to pre-aim at. If we got our crosshair lined up, this is practically guaranteed kills. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We're moving over to Bind on this next one. Many players when they push out of A short will eventually check inside showers. However, many of them won't set themselves up for players just outside of showers and on A site itself. This is an angle I really love using when I'm responsible for showers. You want to make sure the coast is clear on showers itself. Now rotate quickly back to site and hide in the corner outside showers. Players trying to plant the spike will eventually pop out and you'll be able to quickly wipe them out. This killjoy didn't even fire a shot as she wasn't ready for my position. After the first kill, I continue using off angles. I slowly make my way down triple, stopping occasionally in case an enemy peeks out. I do this so the enemy has to continue guessing on my position, also so I don't get caught in gunfire in mid-run. I do end up in a common position in triple for the third kill, but I kept my position hidden and surprising until the end. We're going to wrap things up with a nice off angle on split. Many players will play the left side of vent and peek down ramen. Very typical move, but we don't do typical here at SkillCapped. Instead of playing the left side, switch things up and hug the right side. This isn't entirely uncommon for players to play here, but we found most players still don't check it regularly, so it catches them by surprise. Particularly players pushing middle from sewers usually don't see this coming and are easy kills. This off angle can also give ramen players a false sense of security. They clear the more common side of vents, but neglect this side, which makes for an easy surprise peek and frag. That's all we have for today's video. We hope these off angles give you that extra edge you need to snag more frags and win more games. Couldn't possibly cover all the off angles that are possible in the game, but these examples and tips provided should give you an idea of how to implement them throughout all the maps in Valorant. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel down below to help support us. I'm Dr. Zora, we here at SkillCapped want to thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.